This is the Crimson Corner with Bill Riley.
Walks it into the end zone for a Utah touchdown.
Your source for the best insight on everything happening in and around Utah athletics. Now, here's the host of the Crimson Corner, the voice of the Utes, Bill Riley.
Hey, welcome into this edition of the Crimson Corner. I'm Bill Riley, the voice of the University of Utah. So good to have you in with us this week as we're into mid-May. Got a lot to talk about on today's show. We'll have a little football. We've got a special guest who's going to join us on the program today, and then we'll give you some odds and ends as things we're coming to the end of the athletic season at the University of Utah. We're into May. It's usually done by the end of May. And so we'll kind of wrap things up with that. And, of course, don't worry, we're going to have the podcast all summer long. We'll just not have as much game and in-season content to talk about like we do now, but we'll have plenty to talk about. I want to thank our friends at Advanced Window Products for sponsoring this podcast every week. That's Nate Orchard's company. If you need windows for your home or your business, doors, treatments, all of that stuff, they'll take really good care of you. Advanced Window Products, you can find them. They have been in business here in the state of Utah for 40 years. So they back up their products, and they're great people. So Advanced Window Products, a big sponsor and the title sponsor of the Crimson Quarter podcast. And as always, if you guys want to make a question, a comment, a thought about the podcast to me, fire a question at me, fire a comment at me, fire a thought at me, just shoot me an email. briley@huntsman.utah.edu. That's briley@huntsman.utah.edu. So that's how you reach me. We'll try to read some on some of the podcasts. I'll get you an answer off air if you would like as well. We can do all of that good stuff. Today's podcast, we got a few football things to talk about. Amy Hogue is going to join us. She just wrapped up a really good softball season for Utah, and then some odds and ends at the end of the athletic season that we'll wrap up with on the podcast today, right here on the Crimson Corner. Utah football. As we record this in the Utah football building, that's where we record this podcast, we sit 113 days away from kickoff, if you can believe it. At the time of recording, we are 113 days away from the season opener against the Idaho Vandals on September the 3rd at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Utah's going to open with 3 straight home games. 3 straight non-conference games. They don't have to go on the road. It's Idaho, it's Utah State, and it's the SEC school, Arkansas, coming in, all to play at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Then the first road game of the year is the conference opener. They'll play at Iowa State at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames on September the 26th. So 3 straight home games to open up, beginning with Idaho on September the 3rd. And then the first road game is the conference opener against the Cyclones, who, well, we're not quite sure what Iowa State's going to be this year. Their head coach, Matt Campbell, went to Penn State. He took like 40 guys with him, and then another 40 guys hit the portal. So the new staff at Iowa State had to literally reload everything at Iowa State. So they're a little bit of an unknown right now, but we'll see what happens. That's the first conference game for Utah. We're waiting on kickoff times for the early Big 12 and TV games. We'll probably get some of those early kickoff windows, especially for the non-conference games, very soon. We do have one kind of sort of kickoff time. It's actually the last game of the year. It's the West Virginia game at Rice-Eccles Stadium, Thanksgiving weekend, the day after Thanksgiving on Friday, November 27th. Fox announced, because Fox came out with their Thursday, Friday kickoff games, because Fox always has those Friday games. So the game against West Virginia, if you haven't seen it, is going to be either a 6 p.m. or a 7 p.m. kickoff time on Friday, November the 27th at Rice-Eccles Stadium. So that's the only, and again, that's not exact yet, but we do know 6 or 7 p.m. is going to be the kickoff. So we're waiting on everything else. My guess is we probably hear it pretty soon. I say that, I don't know. The Big 12 could announce it at any point in time, but I think we'll probably have at least those non-conference games and maybe one. Usually they throw one other game in the mix as well, probably here in the very near future. I found an interesting podcast. I don't know if you guys listen to other I'm sure you probably do. I'm not, as much as I'd like to say I'm the only podcast you listen to. I'm not that up in the night. Josh Pate. Josh Pate's a great college football insider and podcaster. I used to have Josh on my radio show on a pretty regular basis. His podcast is great if you're looking for it's mainly an SEC and Big Ten podcast. He'll mix in some other stuff. But he did his post-spring top 25 about a week or so ago. And I've been doing the way too early top 25s. Last couple of weeks, I've been doing the post-spring football top 25s as well, just to kind of get a feel after spring football for where people see the University of Utah. And most people have had it's kind of been all over the place. Some people have had them kind of in the mid-teens. Some people have had them in the late teens. A couple of people have had them in the early 20s. Well, Josh Pate did his. He had 4 Big 12 teams in his post-spring football top 25. Nobody anywhere near the top 10. But to be very fair, as we've talked about, I don't think anybody in the Big 12 really deserves, at least at this point in time, top 10 mention. And again, these preseason top 25s, these way too early, these post-springs, they don't have any impact on the season whatsoever. Even the AP poll when it comes out. It used to, but it doesn't anymore. The only polls that matter now are the Playoff Football Committee polls, and those things don't start till mid to late October once you've played some games anyway. So these are all for entertainment purposes, so take them that way. Josh Pate had 4 Big 12 teams in his post-spring football top 25, and he had Utah in at number 19. That's as you've heard me say, I think the sweet spot for Utah is somewhere in the 15 to 20 range. I think that's the right spot for the University of Utah, and Josh has him in at number 19. He had, interesting, he was a little bit different than some of the others, and he did his, obviously, with some of the news that's kind of come out of spring football. He had BYU at number 14, which is kind of where I've said is the right spot. I don't think they're a top 10 or even top 12 team, but I think somewhere in that 12 to 15 range, and that's where he put him, BYU at number 14. He had Texas Tech. Now, this is interesting because most people, even with the Sorsby news recently, have had Texas Tech somewhere in that 8 to 12 range. Josh had them a little bit further down, and I think this is right, and not just because of Sorsby either. Sorsby's certainly a part of that, the unknown kind of quarterback situation at Texas Tech. But I'm just not sure if they reloaded as well this year. Only time will tell on this as they did. They had a lot of guys leave and go to the NFL draft. They had a really good portal season last year. He's got Texas Tech at number 16. So BYU at 14, Texas Tech at 16. And he had the Houston Cougars at number 18, which is about as high as I had seen Houston anywhere, to be very fair. And I don't have a real problem with that. The only thing I would say is I would probably flip Houston and Utah. I think Utah is probably on paper with their success and their track record a little bit better than the Houston Cougars. Now, that's not to say Houston couldn't be better, and they'll have a chance to prove it on the field with Utah this year because they come to Rice-Eccles Stadium to play Utah in late October. But I would probably flip that. And the other thing I would probably do is I would include Arizona because I do think Arizona is going to be good. I would put Arizona somewhere in that 22 to 25 range. So Josh Pate had 4 in, BYU at 14, Texas Tech at 16, Houston at 18, and Utah at number 19. And that's the latest iteration of the post-spring top 25 from a pretty good, pretty knowledgeable college football guy who said he would love to be the czar of college football if given the chance. That's Josh Pate. One other football note for you. I'm really interested to see what the Big 12 preseason poll is going to look like. I'm not sure if I'll get a vote on that or not. I've had one in the past with the Pac-12, and I think I had one 2 years ago. We'll find that out July the 7th. That's when Big 12 Media Day begins at the Star in Frisco, Texas. July 7th, July 8th are when Big 12 football media days are. 8 teams on one day, 8 teams on the next. They usually release that preseason poll either just before July 7th or right on July 7th. I feel like that the top 3 teams will be the top 3 teams. I think Utah, BYU, and Texas Tech will be the top 3 teams in that poll. But I'm really interested to see how number 4 through number 8 play out. 4 through 8 include Houston, include Arizona, include TCU, include Arizona State as well. And probably, I'll probably say maybe a Baylor or maybe a Kansas or a Kansas State play in that role as well. but I feel like the top three will probably remain. It will be interesting to see how they place Texas Tech. My inkling is, and again, this is 2 months away, but my inkling is Texas Tech will be 1, BYU will be 2, and Utah will be 3. That's just my guess. But how 4 through 8 play out is really interesting to me, too, and how people see this league as we get a little bit closer to the season. So some news and notes on football for you. And again, if you have any questions or comments about football or anything else, shoot me an email. briley@huntsman.utah.edu. That's briley@huntsman.utah.edu. And I'll read some of your stuff coming up on next week's podcast right here on the Crimson Corner. Coming up next, I'm really excited to talk to our next guest because she, in many ways, is true Utah athletics royalty. Not only as a coach, where she's the winningest in her program history, but also as a player where she's one of the greatest in her program history. Softball head coach Amy Hogue joins us next.
Here's another insider interview on the Crimson Corner podcast.
Next up on Crimson Corner, just thrilled to have her come by with us today. The season wrapped up a little sooner than she probably would have liked, but it was a good season for Utah softball. She just wrapped up season number 19 as head coach here at the University of Utah with a nice bounce-back season from a year ago. Amy Hogue joining us on the Crimson Corner. How are you?
I'm great, but like you said, it's always too early if you get bounced before the last day. So, but yeah, it was a good season. I was really proud of the comeback compared to last year for sure.
Yeah. You want to go to Oklahoma City twice now, especially if you're in the Big 12. You want to go for the tournament, and you want to go for the other tournament, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, now you have to qualify even to get into the Big 12 tournament, and that was a grind. I mean, the league this year was great. So we're definitely prepared. If you ever get into postseason, the conference we're in prepares you to make a run, not just to get into the tournament, but to make a run. And so, and I think if we had got in, we'd have made a run, but they only take so many. And I'm hoping they're going to change the number pretty soon and grow that number in the bracket, but we got left out.
Well, 35 wins is a nice year. By any metric, 35 wins, and when you're in a power conference, 35 wins is really good. And as I said, kind of a bounce back from a year ago. What was the big change? Why the improvement this year? Why a bounce back year?
I mean, a lot of reasons. We had a lot of new players last year. It was their first year starting, even though they were on paper older. It was their first go at being the lead in the middle or the lead in the circle. And so I think the full year of experience for them, even with all the bumps we had last year, they grew a lot. So you add them with a bunch of talented freshmen that we brought in this year, and it was a really good combo. So our coaching staff stayed really true to who they were, and it just takes time. I think Coach Court with the hitters, again, they were rolling. Those returners, they were rolling. And then the new kids that came in wanted their spots or competed for the best part of the lineup, and it just was a perfect combo. So on paper, we were still pretty young because of how many freshmen we started, but we had a lot of experience that helped lead the way this year.
You started 4 freshmen. You played 5 because Izzy Cruz was kind of that 5th freshman for you. But those 4 freshmen, Amy, were good. And you mentioned your hitting coach, Courtney Martinez. Your team had a different offensive look this year. You know, for those who've watched in recent years, not even recent years, going back a while, Utah softball, it's always been slap it line drives and speed in your big ballpark. You guys were hitting the long ball this year. You hit more home. You were halfway through the season and had more home runs than you had all of last year. Was this a conscious effort by you and your staff? Was it, hey, this is who we've recruited, this was what we're playing to? Why the uptick in homers and power and all that stuff we saw this year?
Well, it's how the game is changing. I mean, that's what you need. It's doubles, triples, home runs. It's not put a bunch of singles together. And that was hard for me because I liked the game that I ran for all those years, and I liked the speed and the big park that I built. It was made for that. It wasn't really made for the kids that don't run that great and have to cover ground on defense. So, but what I like to do and what I've always done, I hope, you can ask my assistant coaches this, but is bring in coaches that have a certain style of player they want to recruit and give them the opportunity to recruit who they want. And Courtney had a bunch of kids from the Midwest on her radar, a bunch of kids from the West, like all over the country, and hitters that she was tracking. And that's the style of hitters she liked, and that's the style of hitters we have now. And so it's changed some things. I'd like to add some more speed so that we have a better balance there, because the best teams at the end, you'll see, they have both. But I'm really proud of my staff for what it is that they had their eyes on and what we were able to bring in and put together.
Well, it was a good year, and it was a milestone year for you as well. I mentioned your 19th season. You got your 500th career win, and you coached in your 1,000th career game. What do those numbers mean to you?
It means I need to take a vacation. It just means that I've been blessed to have an opportunity to do this for a long time. And it also means I'm old, but that also means that I'm blessed to have been supported for this long in this job. It's not an easy job. And there's a lot of coaches that want a Power 4 head coaching job, and I get to have it. So I don't take it for granted, not one day, not 1 year. And I don't know, I'm really proud of the people that have come through here and the things we've been able to accomplish. So I actually, someone gave me a ball when we won our 500th game, and I asked the team to sign it, and then I saved it because I want every single person that helped me win those 500 games to sign that ball. So I made them sign it really small, and I'm just going to leave it in the alumni room. So anytime anyone comes by, it's like, sign that ball. You are a part of that, because that'll really show how many people that were involved and how many assistant coaches and how many managers. And I mean, the amount of people that it takes to win 500 games, to be a part of 1,000 games, is a lot of people. So really, I wish there was a way to recognize and honor everyone.
You've been at Utah as a player. We'll talk about your playing career in a minute, but I mean, 19 seasons in today's day and age, as you said, it's not an easy job. That's a milestone in and of itself, to be able to survive and last and thrive as you have in one place. What's different about your job today than 19 years ago in 2008 when you took the program over? And I know there's a lot of things, but if you had to isolate, what's the biggest difference between today and 08 when you took over? What is it?
I always think about how it's the same rather than how it's different. So I guess I'll have to think about that a little more. I think people that want to complain about things look at what's different. And since I'd rather think about why, I'm so blessed, then I think about what's the same and why my love for it has remained. And that's why I'm still here. So there's a lot of things that are the same, lots. And those are more fun to talk about. But you asked me what's different. I think what's different is my role as the coach it's always been to help grow these women and get them ready for the world. I mean, we have this cool vehicle of softball games to do that, and the journey is important on the field. But, what's different is the world that these young women grew up in and compared to the world I grew up in. So what they come to me with is different. The needs that they have as a, student athlete, as a person, is different. And that's why I think I thrive in this job, because I love the fact that my job isn't just to help us win games, but to grow women. And because of the fact that they're coming in, this day and age has been rough on them. And there's a lot of anxious young people. And I just want to kind of go where they are in order to understand what they need. And when I go where they are, it's frightening because of the compare game and the just the uneasiness of, I just want them to escape and play the game. And they really haven't learned how to do that because, it's relentless out there. It feels like it's a bunch of mean girls and a bunch of hard and stress, and the anxiety levels is just, it's sad for me to watch. So I'd say, if anything, that's the part that trying to, I just pulled a new book off the shelf just 2 days ago. Got in the car and drove my daughter home from college, and at the airport I picked up a book from Arthur Brooks, and he wrote a book called From Strength to Strength, and I loved that one. And this is a book by him about the meaning of life, and he's talking about, and I'm not even all the way through it yet, I got it 2 days ago, but I loved how he talked about the fact that these kids are almost in the middle of a simulation. It's like they're not even really engaging in life to the level that they can understand what does it even mean to them. And so helping them find meaning is the key, because if there's no meaning to it, then you'll just have to talk them into doing everything that you want them to do, everything that they need to do to succeed. And if you can help them figure out what it means to them, you don't have to talk them into it, because it means so much to me, and I have all my reasons why, but I feel like to them, they haven't even learned how to engage at a level with people, they're not even in person in classes. And so it's just more difficult, and I'm watching them learn how to care about the game that I care about at a level that I care about it, and then it's easy. But finding a way to have it mean a lot to them is part of the code I'm trying to crack. And thankfully, this book is helping me put language to that, but it's really what I'm seeing as well.
Was there a time when you saw that change and that shift? I think anybody that has kids, and you and I are around the same age, and our kids are around the same age too. So I think we saw that maybe that shift a little bit in society with our kids. But from a coaching standpoint, can you pinpoint a time? Because it probably wasn't this way. Certainly wasn't when you were playing. Wasn't when you got into coaching, or even probably when you began head coaching.
I'd say it was around 2016, 17, 18, somewhere in there. We had a group of young women led by Hannah Flippen, one of the best players we've ever had. And that group seemed to be the group that came in with all the stuff that I'm talking about that I had, just kind of this joy on the field and less of the social media craze that just kind of changed things. And I kind of lost them a little bit. And so I feel like it was right about in there where it just kind of shifted, and then COVID just made it worse.
I can't imagine when you started your coaching journey that you were thinking about 500 wins and 1,000 games coached, because you seem like a pretty right in front of you right now. Let's just go out, whatever it takes. Let's build this thing and win. But did you have expectations when you began coaching? Of what you wanted to do career-wise?
Zero expectation. I didn't even want to coach. Actually, Jo Evans kind of talked me into it. She doesn't know she did, but when you put so much, I believed everything that came out of that woman's mouth. And it was on senior day that she said, you'd be a great coach one day. And I really hadn't considered it. I was in the master's program for social work, and, had plans to be a school social worker and maybe, do some high school coaching just to see if I was good at it or liked it, and then go from there. But when she said, I think you'd be good at it, that's the first time I actually considered it. But yeah, you're right. It's just more like whatever's in front of me for the day, and all of a sudden you blink and it's been 19 years and 1,000 games.
What connected you with coaching? Why do you love coaching? There was a time, there was a moment, maybe it was Joe's speech, I don't know, but something clicked with you because you've made this your career.
Yeah, I love the game. So there's that. I got into social work for a reason. I like to know how people, behave. And I love the scene of, just studying people and how they can find their way the best, and being a part of that journey, I mean, this is the greatest age to be a part of that journey. My sister teaches first grade, and we always talk about just how our jobs are similar, but just with different size people. But, you know, you get to be a part of a big change, you know, of lifetime. And the period of life is really great. But the game is what obviously drives me. No one tells me how late I have to stay up and look at film. Like, I love it. I don't even notice that it's that late and that I haven't eaten and that I haven't slept, because and if that joy stops, I'll stop doing it. I mean, you can't be successful if you have to set the alarm to, like, okay, I got to get back to work. Like, no, that's not how it works for coaches. You either thrive in it or you don't. And I still love it.
What was it about softball? Because this predates Amy Hogue. This was Amy Timmel. Back in the day, whether it was at Alta High School or somewhat, what was it that you loved about softball? Why was it softball for you and not soccer or basketball or volleyball or whatever it was, which I'm sure you played a million sports growing up, because we all did. But what was it about softball? And what is it today about softball you still love?
I was around great people in the game of softball. So I did like the sport, but the people around, it's like when you have a class, it's like, I don't even know if I liked that class, but I loved that professor.
The teacher was great.
So then you loved it, right? So I got to be coached in travel ball by Butch Lady and Vaughn Alvey and Brent Folger. I remember all three of them like they were my other three dads. Like, they were phenomenal. And they had so much joy on the field. And I was so competitive and hard on myself and didn't understand how it could be fun and you can try to win and get better at the same time. And Vaughn Alvey's motto was have fun and get better. And I stole it. I've still stolen it. It is his. But for me, that's what it's about, is finding a way to, you know, it's a game of failure. And so there's more failing in our sport than any sport. And so to get up and do it again, to get knocked down and do it again, to try as hard as you can and still only succeed 3 or 4 times out of 10, I mean, that's maddening. So to find the joy in the, you know, just the impossible task of, you know, trying to get a hit, and it's a round ball and it's spinning, like, there's no way. It's unfair. But yeah, they made it fun. And then I got to play for Jo Evans, who's the best in the game. And she just continued what it is that I already knew. And that is, this game can be really fun. And the people that I got to play with, they're still all my best friends. So whether it was in travel ball or high school or college, they're all my favorite people on the planet. And they'll be my best friends for life. So yeah, it just became a family. It became a bunch of people that trained hard and worked hard. And everyone got jobs and did other things besides me. I just stayed in the sport. But
now they all come and watch you.
They do.
All your friends come out to the games, and after games they want to come talk to you, and you probably want to go focus on what just happened. But yeah, it's kind of cool, isn't it? How you guys have stayed close. Because I know this because I broadcast the games, but I see all your former teammates, and I work with one of them, Laurel Simmons, and they all come out to see you and your team play, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. They'll text me and tell me where they're at after the game, and they know, don't hold your breath. I might show up, I might not. But yeah, I mean, we're starting to get to the age where now we can maybe travel together and do some other things. But yeah, lifelong friends, and this sport brought me all of that.
Speaking of your playing days, we're 35 years this week to the anniversary of one of the wildest, craziest 12 to 14 hours of softball. You participated, and Utah participated in the longest game in NCAA softball history, and then backed it up with another game that was almost as long. 56 innings of softball over about 14 or 15 hours in Omaha against Creighton. I think you were a freshman on that team, so you were young. What do you remember about those 56 innings of softball?
Well, it's funny because they posted the box score with the article that came out just barely, and I was looking through it like, I only got 4 hits in that game? Like, I had, you know,
14 at bats. I think in the first game you were. I think you were 3 for 14.
Yep.
Your friend Charmel Green was 7 of 14.
Yeah, the second game, the game we won, I got 4 hits. I don't remember how many at-bats, maybe 13 or 12 at-bats in that one. But I didn't know that I led off. I thought Charmel led off, and I was 9 because for most of the year I batted last, and she batted first. But, yeah, what I remember the lefty pitcher we faced who got better every inning she threw, and she threw, I think, 52 of the 56 innings or something. And
370 pitches, I think.
yeah, it was insane. But, I think people probably think it was just really boring and no one ever got on. But if you see the amount of hits that we're making defensive plays. There were people on base every inning. But, yeah, it was a long
You played all night.
We did.
Through the night.
6 p.m. to like 6 a.m. The grass was wet. The birds were chirping. We were all starting to wonder what time our flight was. And it was Mother's Day weekend. I remember, saying, Happy Mother's Day early to my mom and saying, I'll call you after the game tonight or whatever. And we had to call in the morning and say it literally just ended. But yeah, it was chaotic. But the funniest part to me was, after you win the tournament, you have a chance to go to postseason. That's what was online. And after the tournament, they want to announce, all tournament team, and they have all the awards. So they brought out the table to the middle of it's like 6 a.m. It's like, can't we just skip this? We just want to go to bed. But, we changed uniforms at one point in the middle of the dugout. People are just tossing food over. Fruit is just flying into our dugout. I remember Charmel at one point, I looked out center field. She had her glove off of her hand, and she was just kind of spacing out. I'm like, we're losing our minds. So there were so many stories. I know that Creighton this fall is having a reunion for their team, and I'm going to reach out to them and see if we can crash the party. It's all going to be in Omaha, and I think we should all get together.
I think you had a great quote. I read this in one of the ESPN articles. The amount of times you had to fail to have it not happen for your team was just too much for me.
Yeah, I lost it at one point, and I was the last out in the first game, so the 31-inning game, I was the last out. But I remember in the middle of one of the games, and I was out at first, and my coach, Punk, Mary Kay Amicone, was the first base coach, and I just cried to her. I just put my face like right in her chest and just cried. And she told me that she was afraid I wasn't even going to go back out there because I pretty much said I'm done. I had sprained my ankle at a midweek, so I didn't even play on Friday because I sprained my ankle at Utah State on our midweek game, and I was on crutches at the airport. I missed the game Friday, and here we were like playing 56 innings on this busted ankle. Everyone was wrecked. But yeah, I didn't have to squat for 56 innings like Deb did. So there was a lot of people were worse off than me just with my bum ankle. But, at the end of the day, we lost the first one. So we had to go the if game, and that's why we played a second one. And that one went 25 innings. And it probably would have gone longer, but the commissioner had finally had it. The rule is you can't do international tiebreaker in a championship, game. And she finally said, I've had it. This is, if we go to the 25th inning, we are going international tiebreaker and starting with a runner at second. And so sure enough, the 24th inning, we were still tied. So we won in the 25th after we did the international tiebreaker. So, there's some controversy there, but we all agreed to it. We all knew it was the right thing to do, but we won that inning.
You were a freshman. That team goes to the College World Series. 32 years later, you have a full circle moment. You're the head coach of that same team you were a freshman on and went back to the College World Series. I don't know if I remember asking you this because I was there with Joe Evans broadcasting those games. But what was that like for you? Was that a true full circle kind of career playing moment to go back to Oklahoma City as a coach?
Yeah, I got to start and end my career in Oklahoma City. So we went my freshman year and my senior year. And putting my cleats on home plate next to my best friends for life and, just having my career end right there, I said that this is what I want for everyone. And when I took this job, that was the mission. That was the mission, is get my team back there, get us rolling where we can have that be an everyday opportunity like I got to have.
Well, it was cool. And I was really fortunate to be able to be there with Joe Evans, who is like the mayor of Oklahoma City. Walking around the stadium with her was an unbelievable moment. Winding it down here with you just real quick. Softball is such a big part of your life. How excited are you for pro softball to come to Salt Lake City? It was here last year as kind of a tour, but Salt Lake's got a team. The Talons are here. How excited are you for that?
Yeah, I remember when they first came and said that we'd like to consider Salt Lake as one of the sites of our tour. And I thought, oh man, if they come, they're going to pick us, as a host site, and not just for the tour, but a home site. And because this place is still, I don't know how, a hidden gem. It's still hidden. We've hosted Olympics. We're hosting all kinds of pro teams. We've got women's soccer now too, and women's volleyball for pro. So to me, it's perfect timing. And they came, and our community came out in droves. And so we sold out when they hosted. And to be chosen as one of the 6 teams or host sites for the inaugural season, I just moved closer to campus, and now all the reasons are coming, to full fruition. It's because I want to just drive down the road and watch a pro game at my very own stadium. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. This is really happening. And it just feels like a fairy tale. I built that field. Literally, I put a hard hat on. We designed it. All of these things are happening. It just feels too good to be true. But our city deserves something like this. We are a great sport town, and we're big in women's sports, and it's just growing all the time. I mean, our sport is ridiculous. The numbers are saying we already should expand the league, and it hasn't even started yet. So, it's going to be great. And to think that when I retire and I can just go down the road and watch pro sports, that's just perfect.
You're not talking about retirement already, are you?
I think I talk about it at this time of the year every year. If coaches tell you that they aren't considering it, they're lying to you. A lot of my friends have entered into that world, and it looks pretty magical to spend some more time with my kids, because they missed out on their mom for a lot of years. So I'm looking forward to all those things. My middle just got engaged during the Arizona weekend. Like after we beat Arizona, I was part of that proposal up past my house at the reservoir. And seasons of life, things change. I love it too much right now to hang it up, but there is a time where you get to hang it up and watch the next generation of people take over.
So you got a bunch of good players coming back next year. You can't do it yet.
Yeah, there's never a good time when it comes to the players. So I'm never going to be able to look at that, because you care about them the second you call them and get them committed. So there's never going to be a good time when it comes to them. But there'll be a time. It'll be obvious. And it's not yet, as long as they'll have me here. I want to be a Ute.
Well, you're a Ute for life. You were a player here. You're a coach here, and you've cemented your career in legendary status here with the wins and the games, and just the culture you've created for Utah softball. So I appreciate you taking a few minutes for jumping on today on the Crimson Corner. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you for having me. Go Utes.
The best insight on all things Utah athletics. It's the Crimson Corner Podcast.
Big thank you to Amy Hogue for taking a few minutes as she's trying to decompress from her season that just ended last week. Again, 35 wins this year. That's a 22-win improvement over what they did a year ago. And the best news for her is that core of really talented young players that has the opportunity to return here next year, and then building around that core. So I really appreciate her taking a few minutes. And as I said, kind of leading into the interview, she's true Utah athletics royalty, because she was one of the greatest players in softball history at Utah. And now she is the greatest coach from a wins and losses standpoint in Utah softball history. So I appreciate her taking a few minutes to sit down with us on Crimson Core. And we're going to do more of those kind of as we get in a little bit slower time. It's hard to get coaches when they're in season. So we'll grab football coaches and baseball coaches and basketball coaches and soccer coaches. We'll kind of let you get to know some of the coaches, and as well as maybe some of the players as well, because it's a little bit easier in the off season, in the May, June, July time, if they're in town to grab some players as well. So we'll hope to do some of that coming up on upcoming editions of Crimson Corner. As I said at the top of the pod today, we're winding down the athletic season at the University of Utah. There's not much left. Track and field has some events, but they're not in Salt Lake City. Those are away for Kyle Kepler's track and field team. This coming weekend, marks the end of the home schedule for Utah athletics this year. It's baseball. They play a final home series, a Big 12 series this weekend at America First Ballpark, and they'll host the Baylor Bears Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then they'll have the Big 12 baseball tournament in Arizona next week. And it's a big weekend, too. In all likelihood, it's not official. They haven't secured, but Utah's probably a 99% chance to be playing. The top 12 teams play in the Big 12 baseball tournament. Currently, they'd be the 10 seed. But there's a lot of fluidity in the standings. There's a lot of teams that are very close to one another in the standings. And so not just the series with Baylor this weekend, but really every series in the Big 12 this weekend has some kind of an impact on next week's Big 12 tournament. Utah could be anywhere from the 8 seed to the 12 seed, depending on how their results and other results play out this weekend. So they'll host Baylor Thursday night, Friday night, and then Saturday afternoon. Friday night after the game, they'll be having a drone show. If you remember the drone show they did last year at Utah football, they'll be doing a post-game drone show after the Friday night baseball game at America First Ballpark coming up on Friday night. And by the way, if you haven't been out to the ballpark yet, give yourself a chance. The weather's supposed to be great this weekend, not super hot, lots of sun, all of that stuff. Come on out, check it out. It's a beautiful ballpark right on Guardsman. Just across from the indoor facility for football and across from the football offices, but it's great. And I'll be on the call with Bill Kenneberg this weekend for the final baseball series for our ESPN Plus and Utes Productions broadcast this weekend. So it will be Utah against Baylor coming up this weekend. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks to Nikki Pena. She produced this effort, and somewhere Nathan Thatcher is probably giving his 2 cents worth on this as well. Really appreciate Amy Hogue coming by as well. And again, rate us and review us well wherever you get this podcast. Give us a big thumbs up, 5-star rating, whatever you do. And any comments or questions you'd like to pose to me, shoot me an email, briley@huntsman.utah.edu. For this edition of the Crimson Quarter, I'm Bill Riley saying, talk to you next week. Go Utes.
You've been listening to the Crimson Corner podcast with Bill Riley. Bill is back next week with the latest on Utes. Download previous Crimson Corner episodes on all major podcast platforms.